So once again, thank you so much for your time. It's really an honor for me to have you here, Dr. Kobus Niedling, to make the conversation with you and with Marita. And yes, before we start with talking about your innovative and creative tools, I want to share with my audience, with my customers, a little bit your extraordinary career path, what you have already done. It's when I wrote the CV of you, I was really so proud that I'm part of the NBI team. So only a few words to your extraordinary career path. You worked for Nelson Mandela, for the staff. You trained the staff of the first black president in South Africa. You are one of the top 3 speakers worldwide concerning the topic creativity and innovation. You developed this wonderful tools, not only one, there are 26 tools, which one of a soccer team in Austria is using now. And you wrote so many books, you got so many awards worldwide, yes, and so on and so on and so on. So thank you so much to be part of this beautiful community, of the whole brain community. I use the tools so often with my customers, and I'm really proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. How we want to start the conversation? Do you want to talk in your own words a little bit the NBI, the whole brain thinking? What is your goal with the tool, so that my customer can hear from the developer of this tool what is the aim and how does it work? Is this fine?
It's good. Yes.
It's good.
Yeah. The origin of this instrument, goes back many, many decades. When I studied under Paul Torrance at the University of Georgia, I was doing a post PhD on the identification and development of creative behavior. And as part of the research on creativity, I observed that Torrance had developed a little instrument called SOLAD. It was a left-right brain instrument. And so with him and with his guidance, we started to unpack this to broaden this little instrument, and which became the first 4-quadrant instrument for adults. And the whole idea behind this and how it linked with creativity, because it was that was where it started, is that to be able to use your preferred mode of thinking, which we all have, and the ability to move in and out of the preferred mode is actually flexibility, which is an ingredient, a very important ingredient of creativity. And that's actually where it started. So the foundation of the brain was a study in creativity. And still today, there are so many links to applied creativity and the whole brain. They're still connected in so many ways. And I think when you train people in the whole brain in the same way, one should actually train them in creativity and creativity skills.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And maybe when I started to develop it, I had no idea where it will move to, because first there were a few of these 4-quadrant instruments for adults, and later on I developed for older children, the senior student, which has become a very, very popular instrument. And later on, when my 2 sons were in the elementary school, primary school, but 10, 11 years old or so, I developed the junior instrument. And it was profound for me, because I actually, with my own 2 sons, they did their profile. First, I congratulated them because they got full marks, not telling them that everyone gets full marks. Everyone gets 3. I didn't tell them that, but they felt good that they, that was also one of the ideas that Torrance suggested, that when you have preferences, there's no good or bad or right or wrong. So there can't be high and low. It's got nothing to do with that. But anyways, my 2 sons, very, very important that I explained to them what it meant, the profiles meant, and how they would like certain things and like certain people and others not, and why, and so on. And I followed that up with them, that it's not about I'm right and you're wrong, it's about being different. And I follow that up. My two sons are now adults, and people who know them will tell you that there has never, ever been any conflict between my two sons, never. And the reason for this is, so they immediately understood this, the whole brain, is that it eliminates conflict because there's a much, much deeper understanding of the other human being with other preferences. And the moment you understand that it's not a right or wrong question, it is different. You've got to understand the differences. Then you start to form relationships that is not possible in any other way, but to understand the whole brain. Otherwise, it's not possible. So that was the development. Later on, as you know, I developed, because I thought that one has to take a child from the beginning to the end. I developed the picture instrument for preschool children before they can read or write. So you can actually take the child right through till the end. And so those were the first points of departure. And later on, it became clear that we needed other instruments, and there was nothing else in the world like that. So I had to do this from scratch within the business environment. One that has become extremely popular is the job instrument. All over the world, we've moved away from this old-fashioned traditional job descriptions and so on, which is nonsense. It means nothing, and rather do the brain of the job. And what I've developed is a model that we believe that, in the words of Warren Buffett, who said, the only way to have a good company is to appoint the right people. But the right people, that the concept is a difficult one. So what I've done with O'Shea and Heinz, we developed a four-pronged program where we say, if you want to appoint the right people, forget about the job descriptions and nonsense. First of all, you do the brain of the job where you want to employ someone. So now you've got the brain of the job. Now you look at people applying for the job, and you look at the 3 or 4 or 5 that are close to that. So the first step, the brain of the job. The second step is the person's brain, and you link them. And then stage 3 and 4, very short interviews that we have a cognitive level of interview to see at what level that person functions. Very quick. It's not really part of the brain training, but I believe it should be. Very quickly, that you can see that this person is this level or this level. And then the last one is the emotion level, which means this person seems to be right now, but to make sure that that person, when you appoint this person, that person won't create anger or irritation, but that person will create happiness in the organization. So it's a four-prong approach that we believe is kind of a perfect approach. Later on, many other instruments, as you know well, there's the sport instruments that we've used all over the world with international teams and so on. Very, very effective and been very great success with using all these sport instruments. So the point what I said earlier is that I didn't have an idea where the whole brain will take me. And it was like this, but it expanded just about everywhere. And today I know that there is no part of life or business or sport or education that you cannot apply the whole brain. Once you really truly understand the applications of this brain, you say to yourself, you really don't need any other instrument. If you want to create new values for the company, you look at the brain and say, listen, do we have whole brain values? Because maybe the values you have in your company only speaks to a small group of L1 people, maybe, or L2, or whatever. If you create whole brain values, it speaks to everyone in the organization. If you're strategizing to understand what part of the brain you need to strategize, so you can't do your business anymore. You can't. And if you're developing sales and marketing, to understand that this is really a whole brain approach. So it's inherent critical for any business. If you're in education, for instance, to me, there is no possibility that you can be this good teacher if you're not a whole brain teacher. We have seen this all over the world now where we've trained. I mean, in India, Australia, everywhere. The moment you become a whole brain teacher, maybe one step back. Many years ago, I wrote the book, Am I Clever or Am I Stupid? That book was based on my experience with children at a very young age who believe that they're stupid, ignorant, or ordinary or whatever. And when we did this research, in-depth research, we found that starts from when the child doesn't understand what the teacher is teaching. That means that the teacher's teaching dominance never reaches the child's learning dominance. So they never meet. So becoming a whole brain teacher, in 30, 40 minutes, you teach any subject, whole brain, you're reaching every child. And we have seen dramatic results, absolutely 80% increase in understanding of children and so on. So in education too, there's no way a school can function without being a whole brain school these days and so on. And I can carry on, if it's poor, whatever, but there is nowhere where the brain is not at the center, the understanding of the brain is not in the center of that. That to me is very clear at this stage.
That's absolutely true. I have completely the same experiences in Austria with all my customers. And what I love with the tool is that there is no wrong and there is no good or bad thinking. And this is also this huge in my experience is that when the people have the profile, when they understand their preferred thinking style, it's easier for the people to communicate, to work together, to build a team, and also to have the attitude. It's much more than a tool. It's an attitude. The attitude is that I want to learn the other thinkers. Yeah, and this is so
Yes.
important for the world. Or at the moment, there are so many challenges in. Like I mentioned before to Marita, our companies in Austria and in Europe, they have currently facing great challenges. Artificial intelligence, lack of experts, completely different ways of working for the younger generation and the older generation. And in my opinion, the NBI is the perfect match, the perfect tool for all these topics. Or what do you think?
Yes. I agree absolutely with you. Even when it comes to artificial intelligence, to apply the whole brain and see what artificial intelligence has created, just to see if there's a whole brain approach to what they've created, or where are the gaps in what they've created, or maybe you're looking only for an L1 response from the artificial. Then that's the way you put your challenge. So yeah, again, it's and again, if you there's an whole new world of job for young people. If they do the whole brain job instrument, then you can see, and they've complete, then you can actually see what their desires are about a job. Because in the way they respond, then you can guide them in probably the jobs that would satisfy them and create passion for them in the same. So again, it doesn't matter if it's a new world or an old world, the brain is there, to guide you. And it's interesting. I watched the soccer match in the women's tournament now in New Zealand and Australia. South Africa was in the last 16 for the first time, and they lost against the Netherlands 2-0. It was a very good game. They played very well, but I analyzed, this again, the whole brain. I evaluated this match from a whole brain perspective, and the two mistakes they made that cost them the game were both L1 mistakes. They lost focus. So if I were to train that, I would go back to train them like we did with the Sevens rugby team, who became world champions. They became world champions because we kept on analyzing the game from a whole brain perspective, and then that's where we focus. If there was a spatial gap, we would focus on how do you train spatial ability, how do you train focus ability, so that it becomes an evaluation tool. And also in business, if your management, if they have a meeting for 3-4 hours, and you use the NBI to see where was the focus of this meeting. Because if it's a top management, they should focus on R1, on the strategy, creating new futures. But what we often find, they top management, but they spend 90% on the left brain, which means they're trying to make yesterday better and not creating new futures. You see, that's critical to understand where should the focus be. And therefore you use this tool as the evaluation tool too. And then, because then in creativity, there's a very important concept. The concept is called essence. Maybe to little go back. One of my other mentors was Sidney Barnes. He was the creator of creative problem solving, a giant. Sidney Barnes and I, for 17 years, every year we went to a different country and we presented. It was an honor, but this giant together we presented. Sidney Barnes, who was the creator of creative problem solving, he always said, don't spend 1 cent or 1 minute on solving a problem if you don't understand the essence of the problem. You see, and this is where we go wrong in your business. Everywhere they pay money, they put everything, and then it's wrong. They waste their time. So you have to understand the essence of what is wrong, and then you apply. And so the essence you can use the whole brain to determine the essence. Maybe the essence is somewhere in the R2. It's a people's problem, but you're trying to rationalize this. It's not there. You'll never find the solution. Maybe it's R2. So you use the brain to see where is the essence before you take one step. So you use the brain as a starting block, number one, and then you use it as part of the solution too, you see. So you see, I get carried away. I get too excited when I talk about this.
No, I'm also very excited when I use this tool, and you're absolutely right, because was another advantage in my experience is that it's easy to understand. It's really easy to understand. It's not so, it's so easy to understand.
Very
and
easy.
with the eighth dimension, it's much more understandable. We have the 4 different quadrants, and the 8 dimensions, I have to say, is much deeper from the information.
It gives you much more sound information. And coming back to the essence, suddenly I remembered 2 examples that I think would be interesting to you. We worked with one of the largest banks in South Africa, throughout the country. And what we did, we not only did the profiles of the people who work there, but also did a sample of the people who are customers. And it was strange that in one province, we found that about 99% of all the customers were left brain. And then we looked at the way they marketed the bank in that province. It was all left brain. It was all this. So they're missing out on 50% of possible customers. They left out because their sales and their marketing just didn't understand this, and they kept on focusing on this. If you want to attract customers from everywhere, your marketing and your sales have to be everywhere else. Interesting too. For one magazine that I wrote for nearly 20 years, an article every month, they wanted to know who are their readers. So we put into the magazine a little short brain instrument that I developed just for the magazine. And they had to respond to that, and they actually gave a prize for people. Anyway, we found that 93% of all the readers were R2, the subgental kind of thing, the personal thing, the people's thing. And so I said to the editor, "Is this what you want?" She said, "Exactly. I don't want other. We only write R2 because that's our customer." So it was perfect to see. For them, it's only R2. But if you're selling cars or whatever, you need to sell it to everyone, and then you need to understand how to market to the whole market out there, you see. And that's often where we go wrong. And I think for you in Austria, to look at the way that people advertise, how do they advertise their products and see, but just this is wrong. You're not attracting people you want to attract. So there is a huge market out there too in advertising and in marketing too.
As you mentioned before, I have the same opinion that when you understand your own thinking, when you understand the brain, it's easier to understand other people. And I think this is one of the most important topics for the future, to understand the thinking of other people, because the competition are not other companies. The competition is artificial intelligence. This is the huge competition for the future.
Correct.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And it doesn't matter where it is, even parenting and children. Understand it starts everywhere. The moment you get into the brain of the other person, you've got a big advantage than you see. Because then you can move in and out. It's easy for you, and that is that sort of that cutting edge. An important issue here too, I think. I don't know how long the interview is still on, but let me maybe in the last few minutes say this. To me, if you want to have an impact on other people, a whole brain impact on other people, you have to practice the whole brain on and on. I use the example of the teacher. It's now been trained. You've trained her, and she now has in front of her a little piece of paper, teaching mathematics with the whole brain, and she's got a little bit of 10 minutes L1 and then 10 minutes L, and so she teaches the whole brain, which is wonderful now, and everyone understands it now. That's good, but that is still, you're doing it consciously. That is conscious competence. You do it, and that's fine. You've never been able to do it before. You're doing it now. That's like anything, you do it consciously. You're now sort of selling cars consciously. But the moment you keep on doing it till it becomes part of your human beingness, part of who you are in a state of flow, then it's not conscious anymore. Then it's in your unconscious. Then it's who you are and not what you do. This is really the ultimate aim of our agencies and our practitioners. This is what they need to understand. Keep on doing it till it's not part of what you do anymore. It's part of who you are. It's in your being. Then you will have a massive impact on people. That's when I always say, the teachers you remember of 20, 30 years ago, you don't remember they taught maths or English. You don't remember that, but you remember them as human beings. That's what you remember. And I think with the same with the whole brain, they will remember you as because you had so much impact on them. And that is, but the problem is most people stop too early. They don't carry on. They're not relentless till they've this being. And when it's in your being, you stand in front of your class, you don't have the piece of paper anymore. You give the talk or whatever, it's in your being. And then you have a massive impact on people. And that should be our challenge.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you that you give me the opportunity to have the tool for in Austria and Germany and in Switzerland, and that I have the opportunity to train trainers. And like you said, we have to carry on. This is the most important thing, and I hope we also can carry on making such beautiful interviews only 10 to 15 minutes, because it's much better when you say from your tool than I do this. So thank you so much for both of you for organizing, Rita, and hope we see us next year in the Creativity Conference in South Africa.
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll join you in Switzerland or somewhere. You know.
Yeah, or in Vienna, the most beautiful city.
Oh, I did that trip on the Danube not long ago, and we stopped there.
Really?
Yeah, in that little river cruise that we did. Yeah.
No,
so maybe, but
yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was lovely to talk to you, and best of luck to you. I really hope it goes well with your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a good time. Ciao.